Welcome back. I'm Chris.
And I'm Chris.
And we are back in Project Piece of Stang, and it has electrical issues. Shocking, huh?
No.
So it is February, first week of February, I think, something like that. Let's take you back to some video I took in November, almost 3 months ago. Great news. Chris Jr. is coming home in Piece of Stang on a flatbed. Don't know why. He said the car broke down on him twice, and he has no idea why. He'll be here in a moment. He had electricity. The car just shut down in the middle of traffic. I was too far away to go help, so we had to call a tow truck. Here comes the tow truck with the Mustang. The Mustang in its natural habitat on the back of a tow truck. So it's a full crank, no start issue, unknown if it's no spark or no fuel, but it is cranking really well. We're gonna put it down and see if we can get it to start to put it in the driveway. Supposedly it was cranking earlier, but it has no voltage at all. Oof, this gauge is working. It just has no power. Oh, there we go. No, it's charging. Damn it. All right, well, I'm at least gonna be able to pull it in the driveway. We've got fuel pressure, so it's not the fuel pump. Guess I'll start investigating wiring. Oh God, that's scalding hot. Jesus. Oh, damn it, again. All of this wiring is scalding hot again. I'm thinking it's something to do with the voltage regulator. The voltage regulator is actually cool. It's just this wiring. Again, damn it. So yeah, anyway, that was in November. I worked all of November and December and have been pretty busy since. And then it froze and snowed and iced in Texas and shut the state down for a week. And here we are. It's February and it's time to finally address our electrical issues in this car so we can actually drive it again. For the last 3 months, we've probably driven the car a total of 50 miles, all really close distances because we were afraid of getting stranded. Among our other issues, which we're not going to deal with today, the ignition broke. And then it quit working. It doesn't start the car or anything anymore. So we now have a push button for that. Yep. Not really sure what happened to the ignition switch. This is only a couple of months old. We're not dealing with that today. We don't have time. So I took the starter button out of Project White Trash and threw it in here real quick, just to get us back on the road. So about a week ago, off camera, I came out here, was messing with the car, found a bunch of this wiring, some more wiring had shorted out, and I replaced it a bunch. I replaced a whole lot of it. You can see what is kind of new wiring versus old wiring. Some of the new wiring is a couple of months old, but a lot of this is from last week. Came out here and redid a whole bunch of it. The wiring was heating up again when you'd run the headlights, run the engine. All this wiring was just getting scalding hot to the touch, even with the engine just at idle and the hood open. It wasn't an airflow thing. It was this wiring was all rotted and corroded. I replaced a bunch of it. This is the wire to the ignition coil, the starter coil, that is also rotted out. I need to replace it because this is the first thing that went out before the ignition switch broke. This thing quit signaling the starter solenoid, so we wired a starter switch directly to the solenoid. As of 4 or 5 days ago, I took this thing out and torture tested it, and it was able to idle and run with the headlights on for a couple of hours and discovered a couple of things. One thing, this headlight is burned out. Shocking, I know, with all that water inside it and everything, but we got to go buy a new headlight. As has been the case for a while, Just running the headlights. The car did all right here lately, but as soon as you turn on the blower motor into the dash, everything heated up immediately, shorted out, everything shut down. But I took the car to the local parts store and had an alternator test run. And when they're running the alternator test, we found that the diodes are good, the voltage regulator is good, but it was still failing its voltage check. It was only putting out 13 volts at idle with no accessories. You hit the headlights, it's right at 12, barely maintaining the battery. You turn on anything else and it drops below and starts discharging. Because it failed, the parts store is going to swap out the battery or the alternator for us. It's lifetime warranty, so we're going to unbolt that and take that in and swap that out for now. Chris is getting the alternator off. We've already got the belt off. Take this thing down, swap it out. When we get back with the new alternator, I'm going to clean up some more wiring again. I'm going to shorten some wiring, reroute some wiring, zip tie some wiring, just so it's easier to manage and keep straight and build a track. I just untaped a bunch of it and it's just a big jumbled mess.
Yeah.
We're going to inspect some wiring as we go.
Yeah, the firewall is pretty clean.
Yeah, the firewall's pretty clean. We need to see if there's wire loom down there also so we can wrap this wire so it doesn't look so crappy. Got the old headlight out. We're going to get some rust reformer and spray back in here. Those lights have never been out since we've owned the car. We are back from the parts store, the new headlight, new alternator. Just another anemic 60 amp factory replacement alternator. But this is just a Band-Aid. We're doing this. We're actually hoping here in a couple of weeks we're going to have a 94, 95 3G alternator on here. Once we do that, this alternator and this voltage regulator are going to white trash because white trash currently does not have an alternator. The alternator on it is completely burned out. We're going to get this bolted up and test it out and see how it does. New alternator is in, batteries put back in, new headlight is in. Everything's hooked back up. Fire it up, boy. All right. I'm going to get the voltmeter and take a measurement, see how it's doing. So far on the fast idle cam at 1500 RPMs, it's showing over 14 volts, which the old alternator never showed. Let's take it off the fast idle cam and see. Still 14 volts, 13, 9, 14. Let's see what an actual voltmeter says under the hood. Right now the battery is getting 14.5 to 14.6 at idle. At like a 900 idle. That's more than it ever got before, even a wide open throttle. Turn on the headlights on bright. All four lights are on. 13.8, 13.7. All right, 13.7 at idle, 900 RPM idle with the headlights on. That's awesome. It would have been like 12.1 on the old alternator, so it was definitely that alternator was screwed up. Yeah, leave the brights on. Steady 13.4, 13.5 with the bright headlights on. Turn on the defrost blower on high. Defroster's on high. We've still got 13.1. This would have been like 11 volts or less at idle before. It'd barely do 12 volts under full throttle. Rev it up a little. Rev it up. Oh yeah, there we go. 15 volts under throttle. That's amazing. With the blower motor on and the headlights on bright. Perfect. So that was 2,000 RPMs only. Junior said he set it at 2,000, and we had 15 volts under throttle. That is a full, that's 3.5 volts more than we had before. So this is great. So maybe it was just that alternator that was bad. because it never really did the job properly. So we're going to leave this thing running for a while. We're going to go work on white trash. As is normal around here, we have more than one project going on at once. So we're going to leave the headlights on, leave the blower motor on. This wiring is no longer overheating with all the accessories on. So we're just going to leave it running and see what happens and come back in an hour or two when we're done with the other car. Torture testing this thing. The wiring is able to be held. It's not scalding hot. We're just going to come back and check it again in another hour. We're going to check it every hour unless it just shuts off. And if it shuts off, we'll come and inspect it and see what's wrong with it. But man, we've got 14 volts with the headlights on and the blower motor at idle. That is almost the overcharging levels. Almost too much. Wouldn't it be awesome if the new alternator just overcharged and cooked the whole system? That's our luck, isn't it?
Yeah.
The boy!
The old.
Ugh! To white trash. We have work to do, the boy.
Oh, the seats. Right?
Yes.
Silence speaks volume.
Silence does speak volumes. It is a very short amount of time later, and we smell something burning, and I just grabbed these wires, and the blower motor kicked back on, but the whole car had shut off. So that blower motor is definitely shorting something out somewhere. We have plenty of voltage, but something is tripping somewhere. None of the wiring is scalding hot anymore. Now I'm thinking we need a new blower motor under the dash. Start the car back up, leave the headlights on bright, and turn the blower motor off, and let's see how long it runs that way. That'll eliminate the blower motor for sure. It fired right back up immediately. So now we're going to run it again, torture test again with just the headlights. That way we can eliminate the blower motor for sure. And if it runs forever with the headlights on and no blower motor, we'll know we need to yank that thing and replace it. Check all the wiring under the dash. So I noticed that the gauge here inside the car, 900 RPM idle, says we only have a little bit over 12 volts with the headlights on inside the car. And that is accurate. If you check voltage of the battery, we have like 13.6 to 13.8 with the headlights on, but there's only barely 12.1 or 12.2 coming inside the car, which is going to be a problem. That's, if we ever hook a stereo up that works in here, that's going to be a problem. I'm thinking what that is, and that's probably why this shorts everything out, the blower motor. I'm thinking that's just a wiring issue. All this factory wiring is undersized and just can't carry enough current. So we may eventually have to pull this entire dashboard as part of our interior restoration and wire the whole car top to bottom again. Just replace every single piece of old brittle wiring, because there's no reason to be losing 1.5 volts from right there at the battery to right here in the dashboard. That isn't good. With just the headlights turned on, left to idle, an hour later the car just shut itself off. That's not good. Let's see what's going on inside. The whole car is dead. Yeah. Oh, huh. All right, we have starter again. Oh, the dash is dead. The gauges are dead. The fuse box is dead. Okay, so that wiring to the dashboard has shorted out again. Let's turn off the headlights. Give it a minute. Oh, there it goes. It just came back. I turned off the headlights and everything is back. And we're back to running. Okay, no headlights on. This says without headlights or any accessories, we still have less than 13 volts. Let's go check under the hood. All right, pretty hot under the hood. This wiring is pretty warm, but it's not scalding to the point I can't touch it. That's pretty hot. A lot of that wiring is still pretty hot. I've got the headlights off now. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the voltimeter and see if everything is still charging and working back here. But yeah, a lot of this wiring is pretty damned hot. That isn't good. The voltage regulator did test positive for working the other day, so it shouldn't be the voltage regulator. We still have 14 volts at idle with no accessories on, except the ignition, of course. So the alternator is still charging, the voltage regulator is still working. Our problem is, once again, somewhere in this factory wiring harness between the engine and the dashboard. Good times. Taking a little break from working on things. We're gonna wash the car. This thing hasn't been washed since we painted it because we were trying to be so gentle with the paint, but now it's got so much dirt set in the paint. It is finally time. So we're gonna wash it and we're gonna wipe it down with a little soap and water. We washed the car. It's back to being about a 10-footer. We just kind of scrubbed it down real quick. Nothing major, but it's looking a lot better than it was. I didn't realize how dirty it had gotten until I wiped a clean spot on it accidentally. Anyway, we do have some, we're just getting some stuff kind of set in the paint on the roof especially that just doesn't want to come out. We're gonna have to buff this thing out here pretty soon, possibly clear coat it or something to make it last. Can't remember where I left off of this car a few hours ago. I think I mentioned the fact that it idles indefinitely and runs perfectly fine with no accessories on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drive it tonight, put a few miles on it. I'm actually going to take it to work, which I'll go there and come back at night. So run the headlights the whole way and just see how it does. And if I break down, it's not that big a deal. Better than Junior breaking down somewhere. Sun's gone down. It's about time to head to work in this thing. Man, it looks really good in this dawn with the sun setting. Looks super cool. Looks clean. It looks beautiful. I love it. It's in direct sunlight. It doesn't look the best. I just discovered something. We managed to paint this lock mechanism completely shut on this side, on the passenger side. You have to open the door from the inside. That will not budge. It'll break the key before it budges. That sucks. I hope this goes well. All right, fired right to life. Odd. Now the internal gauge is saying we have less than 12 volts and we are discharging with just the headlights on. But we're back to 14 without the headlights. Give it just a little bit of gas and we're back to good. Huh. All right, let's see how this goes. Definitely misadjusted that one headlight. We've got one light kind of shining out in the middle of nowhere. That's going to be that new bulb. Great. Yeah, these headlights suck. It's been a while since I've been out at night. I don't know if you can see that, but you got one headlight just kind of shining up here in the middle of nowhere. We might have to align those tomorrow. Oh wow, I hit the shift light point and the shift light just blinded the crap out of me. I forgot to put the cap on it for nighttime. 65 degrees. Feels amazing. I got one window down. Having fun. Car feels great except the rear end noise is back again. Well, of course, because it's always back. But man, this is great. I love it. Having a blast. I cannot read the dash gauges at all. I can only read the aftermarket voltimeter and the tachometer. I can't read the speedometer, fuel gauge, any of that. All the dash lights are, I mean, they're there, but they're so dim. I have no idea how fast I'm going. Now I'm gonna go ahead and slow it down a little. Probably going faster than I think. When we pull the dash and do a bunch of rewiring, we gotta put new light bulbs in this thing. fine. Running the bright lights the whole way. No issues. This thing drove great last night. I think today the focus on this car is going to be just cleaning it out. It's kind of turned into storage for all the crap we do on these cars. I think we're just going to clean it out. If we can go down to the parts store, we're going to get a spare tire hold down so we can get the spare tire and the jack in here. Junior pretty much pulled everything out of here. We're going to go down to the parts store here in a little bit and get a spare tire hold down to hold this tire in. We're going to kind of clean it up in here. Got tired of everything rattling and knocking and shaking in here. This car had so much crap in it, it was unreal. We got the car emptied out. Junior's going to vacuum it all out. It hasn't been vacuumed in a couple of years. There is crap everywhere. There's crap all down in here, in every crevice. We need to get it all cleaned out so we can start the interior restoration anew. Get to work, the boy. And in case you couldn't tell, in the background, I have been working on El Basura Blanca, the white trash. She is running well. Junior's finished vacuuming. It looks better than it has in a long time. Hopefully here soon we're going to be able to move along. And we've got a seam seal, a few welded spots throughout the car. Then we're going to paint and rust seal and weather seal the bottom of the floor and the top of it in the car. We're going to get new drain hole plugs like this for the whole car. Then we're going to start putting insulation and sound deadening in it, because this thing was loud last night. It was rattling my brains out. It had been a while since I'd driven a man's car, and it was brutal. Not used to it. Probably have to wait a few days on the seats. We were going to do that today, but it's actually started drizzling, and I have to go to work in like an hour. So a couple of the seats need the brackets kind of drilled on them. So I'm going to probably come back and do that later this week. Come in here and put the original seats back in this car, take the brackets off of these and put them on, and then put these in storage. Then I'm going to try to get white trash's seats put in at the same time. Since this has been such a hodgepodge slap together video anyway of just random things, I'm going to go ahead and try to get Junior's spare tire back in here. He hasn't carried one in a while, just in case there's a problem. Hope that's long enough for our tire. Victorious huzzah. It is definitely long enough. That is good. Now I need to find his jack and his lug wrench. It's a few days later. Junior isn't here. We got busy on a couple other things. I think the last we saw this car, we just kind of vacuumed it out, cleared it out a little bit. Now we're going to change out the seats. They're in pretty rough shape, but we got the original seats back out. This one was in storage. Unfortunately, had a bunch of stuff stacked on top of it, kind of flattened out. Hello, cat. Hello, other cat. But go away. Hey, shoo. Out. Anyway, this one had a bunch of stuff on top of it, kind of got flattened out. The foam is not in the best shape. This one was the passenger seat in white trash the last few months. Unfortunately, got a bunch of rust all over it from the rusty, nasty roll cage. I'm going to try to clean these up just a little bit and try to get them back into Piece of Stang. The underneath of both of these seats is pretty rough. You can see how the foam is rotted out. A lot of these cables that hold the seat together are coming apart. This one, the cables in here, so many of them were broken and screwed up that we just took this old floorboard, this floor mat, out of some vehicle. I don't even know where we got it. Shoved it in here to keep the foam from coming through, because the foam was coming all the way through all these cables. It was really screwed up. The seat was sinking in. You could barely sit in it. So this is kind of a temporary fix. This one is nowhere near as bad, but I'm going to try to do something to protect this foam a little bit longer. Unfortunately, I don't have another floor mat I can sacrifice. All right, got a big giant pry handle in there, pry bar with the proper lug. Got a little bottle jack in there, and Junior's all ready to hit the road. The inside of these seats are pretty jacked up. There's Really not much saving them. They need completely taken apart and rebuilt from the inside out. A bunch of the spring perches are broken off in here. You can't reattach the springs. All of this is just loose and floppy. This one's not as bad, but isn't good. Not a whole lot I can do for this stuff, but we're going to put them back in the car and use them anyway while we can. I'm not really sure what we're going to do for seats long term. Junior wants these back. The good news is we were able to fix this bracket. We thought this was snapped off here a while back. This is actually just super loose. It just rattled loose. We tightened it back down, and it seems like we're going to be able to actually sit in the seat normally again. It used to rock and lean back, and it was really difficult to sit in. That's one reason we took them out. We just never got around to rebuilding them. Tried to add some new wire in here to see if that would help. It really didn't. It doesn't really do anything. I took it back out. It was just a waste. So I'm just going to unbolt the other seats out of the car and put the brackets back on these and get these back in the car. Got the first seat bracket back on. Seat bracket number 2 is on. Need to clean these things up just a little bit before I put them in the car. They're pretty grungy. See if I make them look a little bit better. Boy, if you're watching this, you were supposed to do this the other day and did not. I'm not happy, boy. They're not really coming all that clean. They looked okay wet when I sprayed them down. Now they're drying again. They're still pretty dirty. These are actually to the point they probably just need dyed. Leather dye, vinyl dye, whatever this is. They need to be soaked or resprayed. Not really going to be able to get them very clean for now. We'll probably do that when we finish the interior restoration on the black car. I gave them another round of cleaning. It didn't really get any better. A lot of this is staining and fading and just not a whole lot we're going to be able to do about it. Oh well, they're going back in the car. Now that the factory seat is back in the car, the driver's seat, very angled, it's very tilted. I didn't realize, I really thought it was just the loose brackets and stuff that I fixed. I didn't realize that the whole thing was twisted and bent and warped. You really sit backwards and to the middle of the car. You really sit back and right in this thing. This is not an exaggeration. This is how the seat is sitting. I should be here. And I am here. It means I'm leaning to the middle and towards the shifter and stuff. And it's my right arm is dipped. This is not an exaggeration. This is me sitting normally. I got to do something about that. I think that's why we took it out, and it doesn't sit up any higher than that. That's as high as it sits up. So I'm going to have to figure something out. That's too much gangster lean for me. And I know the boy didn't like it either. So what I did is I had about 3/4 of an inch of extra thread to play with on the stud. So I put a large nut and washer under there to space that up a little bit. If that doesn't do it, what I'll do is I'll go buy new studs with longer thread, and I'll crank that up like another 1/2 inch or 1 inch or something, whatever I need to do. Let's see how that works. That is a little bit better. It is not perfect. The seat still leans to the right. It's nowhere near as extreme. I'd like to be here, and I'm here, but it's not as bad as it was. This might actually work, just lifting this one side of the seat up further on that one side. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go buy some all thread, or unless they make some studs for this thing, see if I can just put a longer piece down in here. And if I can do that, tilt that seat up and just manually force the back corner of this seat up higher. But I mean, it'll work. We've driven like this before, and we can drive it like this again. Everything's working well enough. And we all know that this car just starts and fires every time, but a couple pumps of the throttle. Perfect as always. Passenger seat is in and it's doing great. All right, the seats are in. Sure wish I could use the passenger seat as the driver's seat. It's in really good condition, but unfortunately the controls are only on one side of the seat, and if we flip them around, we wouldn't be able to lean the seats forward and everything. So I'm just gonna have to try to fix the other one. I just realized that a big problem with this driver's seat, all that cushioning that I showed you, that's the big thing. I just realized it's not really the frame, it's the actual seat is just pushed in, and when you reach underneath it, you can feel everything is dipped and bowed under there because there's no wiring or support. I don't know if putting in a longer stud and leaning the seat up is going to help or not. I mean, there's a pretty big dip in it. It'll just have to work for now. Junior wanted the seats back, so that's what I did. So we're just going to go with it. I managed to find one total seat bolt in white trash. The same pattern as this. So I pulled this stud out. I'm going to take it with me to the hardware store, see if I can find either some all thread to make new studs with, or see if I can find some extra long bolts. And then I'll just go ahead and prop the corner of that seat up. Even though the seat's sagging a little, I'll try my best to band-aid it. Plus, white trash needs all new seat bolts anyway. This is the One Lone Survivor. It's the same pattern. So I'll try to make do and try to get it figured out. I have to go to the hardware store and pick up my daughter, see how this thing drives. But this is already awkward. It is a lot of leaning, that's for sure. I don't like this. I don't think Junior's gonna like it. I've definitely got to do something. I'm gonna go ahead and try the bolt trick, try to lift the back of the seat up. Maybe lift both sides of this seat up, try to lift the whole thing up a little. I just keep falling back towards the middle of the car. I don't like it. The whole seat leans back entirely way too much. This is propped up all the way right here. I've got to pull myself up on the steering wheel because this is as high as the seat will lock itself. All right, I was leaving the hardware store and I noticed down here in the seat, this is loose. Now that's not a big part of the problem, but that is something. So I'll have to get a Torx drive and try to tighten that down. That could be part of our lean, but not much of it. I think the main problem is down in the frame and stuff. The whole seat is just tilted crooked. I'm not sure, but I think I might have gotten a bolt situation that'll help with it quite a bit. I am home, and I thought I had a clever way to fix this. I got a very long bolt, and I was gonna run a very long bolt from the bottom up through the floor as a long stud, since they didn't have any studs for sale. This thing has been soaking in oil and will not move. I've tried vice grips. It is just spinning and stripping. Now it's time to try some fire. This is not going very well. I've tried a couple more rounds of fire. Nothing's working. Now I'm going to try the double nut. See if tightening down the second nut on top of it will help. No, it's just turning both nuts. Great. I guess it's back to endless fire and lube until it moves. Several more rounds of fire and lube later. Let's see if it'll move. I've just realized a problem, and I'm not sure how I'm going to overcome it. This stud, check this out. This stud is hooked into that is it right over there. It is part of the subframe connector. And it doesn't look like it's welded, but it isn't moving. And I've heated and reheated and tried over and over and over. I'm going to see if I can get this nut off from the bottom. Maybe that'll help get the nut off, or the stud off the top. So both rear studs are tied into the subframe connectors. Did not know that. And clearly when I backed out that other stud, a nut came off this end. Some heat and a really big wrench got the nut off the bottom. I don't know if that's going to help us up top, but let's see. It just does not budge. I am chewing this thing up and it has not moved the slightest. I don't think it's welded. I think that's just a bunch of crud and corrosion around there. Multiple rounds of heat have done nothing. I am just chewing this stud up trying to get it out of here. This is ridiculous. The front stud, which I've never taken out before, is just backing out like normal. No problems. This rear one is just insane. What's really crazy is there's lube dripping down past this bolt hole, coming down the threads on the underside of it. I can't see any signs of it being tack welded on, but I'm starting to think it's tack welded on. I heated that thing up to the point I needed welding gloves just to get in here and work. Everything is so scalding hot, and it just will not budge. I chewed up the end of it. I'm done. There's nothing else I can do. I just have to put it back the way it was. There's nothing else that can be done today. After entirely way too long struggling with this, I had no choice but to just put the seats back in the way they were. I guess when we go through and do the full interior restoration, we'll probably drill that out and weld in something, or who knows, but nothing else to be done about it today. And on that down and dour note, I'm going to end. That's all the time I've got. I've got to get going. I've got other cars to work on here soon, so this one's going to have to wait a little while. It always sucks when a 5-minute project turns into hours of your life with nothing to show for it, but that's reality. That's how things go. So time to get out of here. On behalf of Chris Jr., thank you for watching. I appreciate it. God bless. Have a great day.